Hi everyone, today I want to share a new stamp set called Friendly Flamingo. This is a new stamp set in the January to June mini catalog, and I decided to play around with it. I have a friend who loves flamingos and is moving, so I thought I would send her a little flamingo card. And I also thought I would make some swaps. So I was playing around with it because I wanted to know, well, what do I want to make? What type of card for my swap, what type of card for my friend. And so I thought I would play around with it, and I made a ton of different cards and sent some out already, and they're really fun to work with. So I thought I would share a few of them with you. And I've got a few different ones. I want to share how to use just the stamps, because not everybody has a die cut machine, and I know that. And while the dies are really fun, they are also fun to use without the dies. So this is a card using just stamps. And then here I've got one pretty much using just dies. And then here I have a combination of the two. So I thought I would share all three versions with you. And let's make those. But I want to show the stamps real quick. The Flamingo set has what's called distinctive stamps, and that means that the stamps have kind of texture to them, and that gives them shading. So the outline is bold, but then within the outline they've added some texture so that you can get, let me put it closer, hopefully that's not too close. You can see that the center of these leaves, for example, are dark, and then it kind of fades out. And same thing, Flamingo has some texture. You've got shading on these plants. So it's kind of fun to have that center of the leaf darker and fade out. That looks done for you all in one stamp. So that's kind of fun, and so you'll see that when we stamp. And then the dies I wanted to show you, because you do get dies to cut out the images. One thing I like is that there's one floral stamp, because you can stamp multiple times, but they gave you 3 dies. Now I like that when they do that. They've been doing that a lot lately, Stampin' Up has, and it's nice because you do know you're going to use more than one flower. And so that way you can stamp it several times, but then when you run it through your cut machine, you don't have to make as many passes through your Stampin' and Emboss machine. You can cut an emboss machine. You can just do one pass and get 3 flowers all at one time. So that's nice. And then you're going to notice that there's this little guy, and there isn't a stamp for that. Also the little wings, no stamp for that. And that's okay, because you can use the wing separately. You know, just stamp an extra flamingo and cut out the wing and pop him up a little bit, give him a little dimension. Or this little guy is really fun. You don't even have to stamp it. Imagine what this little flamingo would look like on a sunset watercolor wash, for example. You can do the flamingo in black. That people will know exactly what it is because of the distinctive little leg bend here and the shapes. And then you could put a really nice sunset, for example, and you can flip it either way and have 2 flamingos looking at each other. Really cute. And so it's really fun to have these options. And then this little guy I thought was maybe a plant going up, which is how it's kind of shown on the box, but in the catalog they also show it as vines coming down in like a tropical theme, so that's really fun. So I wanted to show you these dies, especially this little guy here, and the multiple flowers. So let's go ahead and make these 3 cards. I'm going to start out with the stamp only. And for that I've got a base in just white, and then we're going to add some Magenta Madness, and here I used Pool Party. I decided I want it even brighter this time, and so I'm going to add, I had a scrap of Coastal Cabana on my desk, so I want to use Coastal Cabana for this one. And so it's going to be a little brighter than this one. I also want to show you that I'm using a different piece of Designer Series paper. When I made all my cards for playing around with the set, I used the remaining Magenta Madness Designer Series paper that I have. I just have little scraps left because I used it all up. And so then I thought, well, maybe I will go with Melon Mambo, which is also a very bright pink. Then I got it out and started to kind of cut it, and it's actually darker than I thought it would be. Here is the piece. And it's still cute and still looks great with Bermuda Bay. I'm sorry, that's Coastal Cabana. Too many colors in my brain. But I really liked this Magenta Madness a lot with it. And so I was kind of bummed that I didn't have any more of this paper. And then I thought Flirty Flamingo, because that's obviously a flamingo, and Flirty Flamingo would be perfect for it. And it is technically the right color, but I just really liked my bright pink. So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to give you a sneak peek. So these patterns are from the current 6x6 Designer Series paper stacks. And if you're not familiar, Stampin' Up! Releases a paper stack 6x6 in all of our color families. So this is the Brights color family, and here are the patterns that come in that. So you've got kind of this, looks like a fabric that's been painted maybe, and then on the back of that you've got the dots, and then there's always 2 different papers with double-sided, so 4 different patterns each year. And so this other side has this wood grain pattern and then these little words. So it's really cute, and it's always tone on tone, so you can use these with all your projects. So this is the current paper pack, but I happen to have gotten next year's paper pack, which comes out in June. So I decided to use it, and I'm going to show it to you. It was part of a join deal promotion that's going on for new recruits, and they allowed us demonstrators to buy a pack early. And so this is from the next catalog, which doesn't come out until June. Here are the new patterns. So this is a really fun, I love this one. And then on the back of that, you've got this little floral. Nice, huh? And then the other pattern, like I said, there are 2 different papers with 2 different sides. So then here's the other pattern, kind of the geometric tiles. And then on the back, little dots. Little beaded strands, I guess, maybe. Just a little pattern. Really nice. So this is part of the join deal. I did do a video all about the join deal, and so if you like what you see and maybe even have a wish list going, look at the join deal video, because it's really got some good information and free stuff. Okay, but anyway, I wanted to explain why this paper is not going to look familiar to you. This is Magenta Madness, Coastal Cabana, and white. This is 2.5 by, I had this in my head earlier, 2.5 by 4, I believe. Yes, 4. And this is just a scrap I had laying around. It happens to be 1 3/4 by 4 1/4. And this one is 3 by 4 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and just work on my main image, which is that flamingo. Okay, so like I said, it's Magenta Madness. And it's a big, see how tall this guy is? You got to move it around on the pad to get the full body. But I don't even want his legs, and I forgot that when I was making this just now. So I'm going to clean my stamp and only stamp the bottom half. Got ahead of myself. Okay. So what I'm going to do is intentionally leave off his legs, because his legs are in the water, I've decided. Okay, and now because of the size I've cut this, I really have to make sure that that flamingo is at the very top, or I won't have enough room for my water. There. All right, and then I'm going to do the water in Coastal Cabana. Now you can put his feet in the water. You can decide that it's very shallow water and still show his feet, but I wanted it to be shorter just because it fit nicely on my card. Now I'm also going to take a blender pen. This is just a little pen that's got some kind of solution in here. I don't know exactly what it was. I knew it one time. But you're just going to pick up a little bit of ink, and then I'm just going to kind of go around my waves. I just wanted to give it a little more color. So it's like a marker, but it just kind of adds a little ink, just a tiny bit. It makes a lighter, just a touch of ink on there. And then you can use the same marker for every color. Just take the marker, the little, it's called a blender pen, and just go on a scratch paper and clean it off and put the lid back on it, set it aside, and use it next time you need it on a different color. Okay, so that is my flamingo. And then we're going to go ahead and do our embossing. Now lately it's winter and my house is very dry, so I've been using my embossing buddy more than I usually do, to be honest. But an embossing buddy is a little pillow of, I don't know what's inside. I kind of feel like it's the kind of powder that gymnasts use to make their hands not staticky. Can you see that powder go up? Anyway, you're going to get it on your paper, cardstock, and what it does is it just erases some of the static that's on your cardstock in your house or around you. Like I said, my house is very dry. So it gives you, hopefully I will get a cleaner image. So let me find my stamp here. I'm just using a scrap of basic black. I'm going to move it closer to me. Hopefully my head doesn't get in the video. And then I'm using white embossing powder. Okay, and then I'm just going to flag the end. I like to, sometimes I like to hold it up to my grid paper, kind of find the middle, and go up ½ inch or so, and then depends on the size, I guess, of my cardstock. And then meet that middle. Okay, and then I'm using this trim. This is from the Playful Pets, and it comes as a combo pack with some red stitched ribbon, and then this is black and white, and I wanted that black and white. This side was frayed, so I'm going to fray that one just a little bit also. Why not? So now we're just putting it together. And I almost can't decide what side to use. I'm going to go this one, the little dots. And I just wanted this little pop of Coastal Cabana on the end just to add some more color. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and add our greeting. Now I decided to pop it up a little bit just for fun. I maybe should have given myself more space, so what I think I'm going to do is put the ribbon behind. Alright, so if you make one, give yourself some space if you'd rather put your trim on the top, and I had to put it underneath because I didn't give myself enough space. Alright, so that is my stamp only. Now we'll go with the die cut only. And here I've got a piece of Designer Series paper that's cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and I have this little stitched circle from the Stitched Shapes dies. Now I wanted to keep with that little circle theme on my flamingo, so I'm going to go ahead and use my Magenta Madness, because I'm out of my, not Magenta Madness, Melon Mambo, because I am out of my Magenta Madness dots. So let me grab my little flamingo dies. So here you need, you need the flamingo and a wing. And the only thing to keep in mind here is what do you want facing up and which way do you want your flamingo going. So I kind of want my flamingo going this way, and I want this to be the pattern. So you want to think about that. But then because I want a different pattern on my wing and I want my wing in the same direction, I need to first run it through this way and then flip the paper over, or use a scrap if I have one, and then cut it so that this is the paper direction that I want my wing to go. So just keep in mind what direction you want things and what side of the paper you need to have it facing. Okay, and this one you're just assembling, and we're going to stamp our greeting. Now I've got my card base here, which is also Coastal Cabana. I made 2 because I need a happy birthday on my other card too. Now this card is very flat. Sometimes I like to make a card that's simple, easy to mail, and this is definitely one. And then a little something for the inside. I like this, hoping your day is as amazing as you. That would be great on the inside of a birthday. So I'm gonna go ahead and add it. And then I thought maybe I'd add a couple little flowers. All right, there's our first 2. And then let's move on to this little window card. So this one is really simple as well. I used, this one, it's got some Magenta Madness in the In Colors, and like I said, I'm out of that one, so I cut another window out of the newer colors. And here I did some of the stuff ahead of time, and that's because I got away with myself when I was making this video, and here I'm cutting in and adding this because I messed up when my daughter came in and interrupted me for lunch. So I already had this part done, and so I'm going to show you what I did. I did basically, I stamped the greeting just like I did in the Coastal Cabana card, but then instead of using the flowers by themselves, I added some vines and cut out some of the flowers. So that's the inside. And then on the outside, I was filming and I had sponged with the new blending brushes. Just kind of went ahead and gave myself a little Coastal Cabana background in the center of my white cardstock. And then we're going to go ahead and add this frame, but I'm going to show you how to put that together. The easiest way to put that together. First, we need to stamp our flamingo. I've got a scrap of white here. Okay. Now I'm going to stamp him again, but all I really need is his center of his body because I'm going to cut out a wing. Okay. Here we're going to cut out the flamingo. Now I want to tell you a little tip. The flamingo is a long stamp, and when you're using it and you want to use a die with it, it's really easy to accidentally curve it somehow when you're putting it on your block. So what I mean is when you're laying it down, you might accidentally, see how I just kind of turned his body just ever so slightly. And if you do that, your die, like mine, lines up perfectly. Because in my head I was making sure that he landed on the block perfectly. And I want to show you how I do that. So you kind of hold it in your hand where you're not manipulating it all. You're letting it be how it wants to be, and then lay it down. Because if you're holding it like this and you're placing it, you're going to accidentally knock it. You could knock his head, you could knock its legs, something is going to not be off. And once it's stuck down, it'll probably stay there, and then you'll go to die cut your flamingo and it's not going to work and it's going to aggravate you. And it's probably not the die at fault or the stamp. They probably do line up perfectly. It's just something got bent slightly when you were putting it on your block. So try to just kind of drop it on your block, or you could even put it down on the desk and then pick it up like this, and that way you know that you didn't manipulate it in any way. Okay, so that's just my tip for any stamp with the die that has to line up, that's really long or has bits like this one, or even the vine. It's really long and easy to slightly bend. All right, that's my tip. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out. I also want a wing. And so I'm going to cut it out of this area here, like so. And I will be right back. All right, I forgot what I did yesterday when I wanted to cut out, when I was playing around with my samples and I wanted to cut out a wing. I forgot that I had to turn them over and do it from the back. And all I did was kind of hold it up to my lamp so I knew where it was. Now, I don't know why both wings go with the flamingo facing to the die one that doesn't have a stamp. For some reason the wings line up with that one. So if I hold this up to my lamp, I could see through my cardstock, and I know where the flamingo is, and I want to cut out this little wing, which is going to cut out this area, but it's going to be facing the way I want it to. So kind of crazy. There are other ways to do reverse image stamping, but I think that was, for this project, that is the easiest. And then you could just line it up like that. Okay, so let's put this card together. So for this, I wanted my ribbon to go across. So to do that, I knew it would be covered up by those floral pieces, the leaves and things, so I didn't mind that you're going to see it go across like this. Okay, and then I wanted to make sure that this stood up a little bit from the base of the card, so I was going to use a lot of dimensionals, and then I thought, nah, I'll use the strips because I can just kind of go all the way around. Okay, now you want to add your flamingo now because you want to make sure that you know where it's going to land in there. So I put a little dimensional behind his body, and then I also did one of the mini ones behind the head. And slip it in there. And then I have this little piece. I'm going to just put it right here and use that to hold my floral leaves. Now I apologize, my video when I was making it, I had to cut it when I was stamping the inside of the card because I was interrupted and had some video problems. And I had to come back and continue it later, so I had already put this away. This is the stamped image from this set, and then I've got the vines going down, and so I had already done this. I'm just going to go ahead and use it, and we're going to put it right, I need to move my bow a tiny bit, put that right there. And then I'm going to add the wing. And my greeting. There we go. So there's my little window card, and the inside of that, this other die, I want to show you the inside of that is pretty much similar but without the vines. And then the stamp only card. And I could do something, you know what, I think I'll do something on the inside of this one as well. Here I'm pressing my luck, because I could mess it up when at the very end of the video. All right, let's find those vines. This is Granny Apple Green. Kind of messed up a little bit, but not much. Okay, little trio of flamingo cards. I hope that you like them, and I hope you'll take a look at the Friendly Flamingo Stamp Set and Dies in the January to June mini catalog. And that catalog, the full catalog, is up at my blog, bestpapercuts.com. There's a link up at the top of my channel heading to go to my blog or to go to my Stampin' store if you're thinking about purchasing. And again, check out the join video if you want to see more about these new designer series papers. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.